SLT Mobitel, the connection.
මෙම විශේෂ සන්ලයිට් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදීගෙන ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය මනුදම්වියමන අපි සවිමත් කරමු. සන්ලයිට් කෙයා.
Tonight, make or break. PHI chief calls for either a full lockdown or movement restrictions following record virus numbers in the past 3 days. Danger zone. 5 police areas and 19 Grama Niladari divisions isolated, with a lion's share of them in the Kaluthara district. Widening the net. Indian police begin probe into MP Rishad Badiuddin's possible links in Kerala. Interesting times ahead. A central bank report outlines a dull 2020 economy as the Asian Development Bank's latest outlook projects positive signs for 2021. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Friday, the 30th of April, 2021.
ඇල්කොහොල් අඩංගු hand sanitizer භාවිත කරන්න. ලෙඩ රෝග ඇති කරන විෂ බීජවලට එරෙහිව සටන් කරන්න. හඳුන්වා දීමේ මිල රුපියල් 350යි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamika Kanaka. Now, the Public Health Inspectors Union is calling for a countrywide lockdown or certain movement restrictions to tackle the rising COVID-19 infections. The island posted a record daily caseload for the 4th consecutive day during the last cycle, with numbers exceeding 1,500. Then today, a new record was set with over 1,600 infections being confirmed. The police, meanwhile, continue to crack down on health and safety guideline violators, with health authorities insisting that public cooperation is a key, or in fact the key element, in arresting the pandemic situation.
Over the last several days, Sri Lanka has seen a record increase in its daily COVID-19 caseload. Over the last 4 days, it had been one daily caseload record after another, meaning yesterday's 1,531 fresh infections is the highest the country has seen in a single day since the pandemic first broke out last year. 823 from yesterday's new cases were recorded from the Western Province, with the Colombo district accounting for 533 of them. The districts of Gampa and Kaluthara confirmed 145 infections each. Meanwhile, the districts of Kurunegala confirmed 107 cases of the virus yesterday, while Kandy and Galle reported 85 and 84 infections respectively. 48 COVID-19 cases were also recorded from Polonnaruwa, with 46 being reported from Mathura. The districts of Nuwara and Hambantota confirmed 43 infections each. A further 212 novel coronavirus cases from the last cycle came across 14 other districts. Also among yesterday's caseload were 40 imported cases. As for today, 1,636 fresh COVID-19 cases have been confirmed so far. Health authorities insist that Sri Lanka is at a level 3 alert, which translates to the presence of multiple virus clusters in different districts. President of the Public Health Inspectors Union, Upul Rohana, however, says that the origins of some of the new subclusters cannot be traced. What's more, he said that there are many infected patients on the waiting list to be taken to treatment centres and are isolated at their homes. Rohana, however, noted that though some of them complain of serious difficulties, such as breathing problems, even ambulance services are so far stretched, making it difficult to source ambulance to cater to their demand.
අපිට පේන්න තියෙනවා මහජන සෞඛ්‍ය පරිශෝධන ඇතුළු අනිකුත් කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ අවධානයට ලක් වෙනවා වගේම ආසාත් වීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. මේ තත්ත්වය හමුවේ රටේ පවතින තත්ත්වය අවබෝධ කරගෙන රෝගීන් සංඛ්‍යාව අඩු කිරීම සඳහා කඩිනමින් රට ලොක්ඩවුන් කරන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් සංචාරන සීමා පනවලා රෝගීන් සංඛ්‍යාව අඩු කර ගැනීම සඳහා වැඩ කළ යුතුයි අපි.
In the meantime, police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana insisted that the police is continuing to crack down on health and safety protocol violators.
Yesterday, 104 suspects have been arrested in connection with the offences of face mask and social distancing. Since the 30th of October 2021, to date we have arrested 4,191 suspects in connection with the same offences. In respect of the restaurants, pubs and other social centres, 930 places have been inspected and checked. In addition to that, approximately 5,700 persons have been checked in order to follow the quarantine rules and regulations. 7 persons have been arrested in connection with the offences of quarantine law.
With the recovery of 530 COVID-19 patients today, the island's overall number of recoveries rose to 95,975 at 11,478.
Follow me into the jungle.
Now, 5 police areas and 19 Grama Niladhari divisions were placed under isolation with immediate effect today and will remain so until further notice. Most of them, meanwhile, are in the Kalutara district. The move was made upon instructions of the Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva.
Under the instructions of Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, General Shavindra Silva, 5 police areas and 19 Grama Niladhara divisions were placed under isolation today until further notice. The police areas of Damulla, Galewela, Matale and Naula in the Matale district and the Pannala police area in the Kurunagal district will be isolated until further notice. In the meantime, the Grama Niladhara divisions of Udubaddawa and Galamuna in the Kurunagal district as well as the Helamulla Grama Niladhara division in the Monaragala district were also placed under isolation. In the meantime, the Grama Niladhara division of Bolunna, Ingurudaluwa, Midalana, Morapitiya, Paladda, Hedigala and Morapitiya North belonging to the Baduraliya police area in the Kalutara district were brought under isolation with immediate effect. The Tiniyavala Grama Niladhara division belonging to the Tiniyavala police area in the Kalutara district were also isolated. 7 Grama Niladhara divisions falling under the Meegahatanna police area in the Kalutara district too were isolated with immediate effect and will stay isolated until further notice. Accordingly, the Grama Niladhara divisions isolated are Walallavita South, Makalandawa, Katukale Valmigoda, Botalawa, Pahala Hewassa, Miriswatta and Palavatta East. The Sarubima Grama Niladhara division in the Alahara police area of the Polonnaruwa district has also been isolated. In other developments, Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, General Shavindra Silva announced today that all events including weddings will not be allowed to take place for 2 weeks starting from 3rd of May. In the meantime, Minister of Fisheries Douglas Devananda has urged Sri Lanka's fishing community to avoid contacts with Indian fishermen in international waters in order to minimize the risk of COVID-19 infection.
In the meantime, President of the Sri Lanka Medical Association, Dr. Padma Gunaratna, urges expectant mothers to practice extra caution and protect themselves from the COVID-19 virus due to significant risks in their first and third trimesters. Dr. Gunaratna added that infection could lead to high risks to the child and also result in premature births. Meanwhile, consultant paediatrician Dr. Deepal Pereira warns parents to keep a close eye on the emergence of symptoms of hand, foot and mouth disease in children below the age of 10, as it could easily be mistaken for COVID-19 due to similar initial symptoms.
President of the Sri Lanka Medical Association, Dr. Padma Gunaratna, warned expectant mothers to take added care to avoid contracting the COVID-19 virus in their first and third trimesters.
අපි කිසිම මවකට මුල මාස 3 ඇතුළත කිසිම වෛරස් රෝගයකට ගොදුරු වීම අනුමත කරන්නේ නැහැ. ගර්භණී භවයෙන් මුල මාස 3 ඇතුළත ඉන්න අය මේ වෛරස් රෝගය වැළැක්වීමට ගත හැකි උපරිම ක්‍රම ගන්න ඕනේ කියන එක. ඒ වගේම අපි අවසන් මාස 3 බැලුවොත් එහෙම මේ රෝගය නිසා කෙනෙක් අපිට ආසාදන තත්ත්වයකට වෙලා අසාධ්‍ය වුණොත් සුමාන 38කින් සෑදෙන් ප්‍රසූත කරන්න ඉන්න දරුවා සුමාන 35න් ප්‍රසූත වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද ඇයි අම්මට අසනීපයි අම්මා අසාධ්‍යයි එතකොට එයා ඉක්මනට අර මේ පරිණත නැති දරුවෙක් ප්‍රසූත කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මේ කාරණා දෙආකාරයෙන්ම මේ රෝගය ගර්භණී මාතාවන්ට බලපාන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නිසා ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩියෙන් පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන.
Meanwhile, consultant pediatrician Dr. Deepal Perera warned parents to watch for signs of hand, foot and mouth disease among children, which could be mistaken for COVID-19 due to similar symptoms such as fever and body aches.
මාස 6න් විතර පස්සේ දරුවන්ටත් එතනින් පස්සේ අවුරුදු 5ක් විතර වෙනකන් දරුවන්ටත් අවුරුදු 10 විතර වෙනකන් දරුවන්ට මේ රෝගය ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. රෝග ලක්ෂණ විදිහට පළවෙනි දවසේ දෙකේදී උණ තිබිලා උණ නැති වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන්. ඇඟපත රුදාව ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අතේ කකුලේ කටේ රතු ලබ්බ ඇතිවීමක් තමයි මේකෙදී දකින්නේ. ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම ඒ දරුවෙක්ගෙන් තව දරුවෙක්ට වෝ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ දරුවන්ගේ සෙම, කෙල, සොටු ඒ වගේ දේවල් සමහරක් වෙලාවට මල මුත්‍ර මගිනුත් බෝ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔක ලක්ෂණ තියෙනවා නම් දරුවව පොඩ්ඩක් එක කාමරයකින් අනිත් කාමරයකට අයින් කරලා තියා ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් අනිත් දරුවන්ගෙන් මේක පැතිරෙන එක වළක්වා ගන්න පුළුවන්. බිය වෙන්න එපා මේක COVID නොවේ.
Now, the Ministry of Health today received the first batch of cold chain equipment procured by UNICEF with funding from the government of Japan to strengthen Sri Lanka's delivery of immunization services, including against COVID-19. 500 carriers were handed over by UNICEF Sri Lanka representative Emma Brigham and Ambassador of Japan Akira Sugiyama to Ministry of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi at the UNICEF office. The next consignments will include 100 ice-lined refrigerators, 145 fridge temperature monitors and over 1,000 vaccine carriers. Health Minister Vanyarachi said that the equipment are not only critical for the current rollout of vaccinations, including the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccines, which just started, but also the long-term support to the entire immunization program. The police today named an accomplice of Easter attacks ringleader Zahran Hashim's brother Rilwan's explosives experiment conducted in 2018. Identified as Razik Raza, the suspect had confessed to providing Rilwan with the explosives. In the meantime, a probe is underway in India to ascertain the nature of the ties arrested MP Rishad Badiuddin had in the Indian state of Kerala. His visits to the area of Kasaragod in particular are said to be under scrutiny.
India's Intelligence Bureau and Kerala Police are said to have launched a probe into arrested parliamentarian Rishad Badiuddin's connections to Kerala. An Indian media report said that the specifics of the links which Badiuddin had in Kerala are yet to be revealed, and the agencies will be looking into the inputs of his visit to Karagasgod in 2009. Further, Badiuddin's acquaintance with a few religious leaders in Kerala who had met him in Sri Lanka, and also when he toured India, especially Chennai, when he was the Minister for Industry and Commerce in 2013, will also be investigated. The report quotes intelligence officials saying that Badiuddin's father hailed from Padna in Karagasgod and he was in touch with a few persons in the region. It goes on to say that the Intelligence Bureau, which is India's domestic intelligence, internal security and counterintelligence agency, as well as the National Investigation Agency, the country's counter-terrorist task force, are coordinating with the Sri Lankan government in the probe. Kerala Police Chief is quoted saying that the Kerala Police will be looking into the links of the arrested Sri Lankan political leader in Kerala to confirm the reports. Intelligence officers are also quoted saying that Karagasgod connection of Badiuddin will be explored in detail, since an earlier probe into the disappearance of 5 young Muslim families from Padna who left for Syria in 2016 to join IS had revealed that a few in the group had been to the National Tawhid Jamaat in Sri Lanka, where they underwent religious training before proceeding to Syria. Badiuddin brothers were arrested last Saturday under the provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. They were later detained for 90 days under detention orders. In the meantime, a remanded suspect had confessed that he provided Easter Sunday attacks ringleader Zahran Hashim's brother Rilwan with explosives to conduct an explosives experiment in 2018.
The Terrorist Investigation Department conducted investigation into the Easter Sunday incidents, and the incidents happened before the Easter Sunday incident. The investigators had found certain information about an accomplice of Rilwan, but that particular person had not been identified for a long period. But at the moment, he has been identified as one Razik Raza, 28-year-old person of Katankudi area. He has associated with Mohammed Rilwan, who committed suicide in Saindamaradu after the Easter Sunday bombings, and Rasik Rasa had been arrested by Kalmuna police on orders of courts. He had been remanded and he had been detained in Angunakola Palace prison. The TID officers obtained a special order from Kalmuna Magistrate Court in terms of the provisions of Prevention of Terrorism Act, and the suspect has been taken charge by the TID officers into their custody for further interrogation. Accordingly, the suspect has been brought from Angunakola Palace prison to Colombo TID, and TID are conducting further investigation.
Now, next week's parliamentary sittings will be limited to the 4th and the 5th of May. The decision was taken during the meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Business chaired by Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena. As such, the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill will be taken up for debate on the 5th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. without adjournment for lunch. An adjournment debate on the current situation in the country in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic will be held on the 4th from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. No time would be allotted for oral questions of MPs on both sitting days and for questions under Standing Orders 27 subsection 2. The party leaders had agreed to pass an order under the Sri Lanka Export Development Act for notifications under the Excise Ordinance, the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill and the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill on the 4th of May after debating same from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We will see you on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman presented the 71st Annual Report of the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Mahinda Rajapaksa today. The annual report offers a detailed summary of the country's economy last year as well as a medium-term macroeconomic outlook. According to the report, the 3.6% contraction in the economy in 2020 was the deepest recession Sri Lanka has experienced since 1948. With the per capita GDP declining to $3,682 from $3,852 in 2019. However, it shows that export earnings rebounded in a short time period to almost pre-pandemic levels, while import expenditure reduced and the trade deficit improved on the curtailment of non-essential imports and low petroleum prices.
The Monetary Board's annual report for 2020 says that the effect of the global downturn on Sri Lanka's economy was a 3.6% contraction in real terms, which is considered the deepest recession since independence. The report adds that the sharp contraction in industry activities was driven by the significant slowdown in construction and manufacturing activities. It also showed that services activities registered a notable contraction due to a deceleration in transportation, other personal services, accommodation, and food and beverage services. The agricultural sector too contracted during the year as the impact of the pandemic outweighed the positive effects of policy support and favourable weather conditions. The report also showed that in 2020 the country's unemployment rate rose above 5% for the first time since 2009 due to a decline in the labour force participation rate. In addition, per capita GDP declined to $3,682 in 2020 from $3,852 the previous year, reflecting the combined effect of the GDP contraction and rupee depreciation. The report also revealed that the size of Sri Lanka's economy fell to $80.7 billion in 2020 from $84 billion in 2019. The report, however, shows that in spite of the contraction, the economy began to show strong signs of recovery in the second half of the year, in response to pro-growth policy on the fiscal and monetary policy fronts. Meanwhile, export earnings rebounded in a short span of time to near pre-pandemic levels, while the curtailment of non-essential imports and low petroleum prices helped reduce import expenditure and improve the trade deficit. The report also highlighted an improvement in the external current account deficit to 1.3% of GDP in 2020, which was attributed to foreign inflows from IT and BPO sector services, increased remittances, and policy-induced adjustments. Meanwhile, the depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee against the US dollar was contained at 2.6% in 2020, according to the report. further reflecting the expanded budget deficit and resultant large financing requirements, as well as the contraction of the GDP. Outstanding central government debt rose to 101% of GDP at end 2020, from 86.8% of GDP at end 2019. Despite this, it showed that the relative share of outstanding foreign debt to total central government debt declined notably to 40% at end 2020 from 47.6% at end 2019.
The Asian Development Bank's annual Asian Economic Outlook report projects Sri Lanka to display strong recovery this year with a 4.1% GDP growth in 2021. It says that Sri Lanka's sustained economic recovery will depend on several factors, including stronger global demand and recovery in key markets, but most importantly, the success of its national vaccination program. Meanwhile, progress on the Colombo Port City Special Economic Zone and the Hambantota Industrial Zone is forecasted to foster more foreign direct investment, while the expected $500 million China Development Bank tranche will help stabilize reserves.
The Asian Development Bank's Asian Economic Outlook report for 2021 has forecast a significant rebound of Sri Lanka's economy this year, with growth projected at 4.1%. The report says that the growth forecast takes into consideration the country's expansive budget, stronger global demand, a marked rebound in major advanced economies, and the base effect following the 2020 contraction. Growth for 2022, however, is expected to ease to a more moderate 3.6%. The report expects growth to benefit in the near term from increased private consumption as pent-up demand is released, and consumption and investment benefit from low interest rates and ample liquidity. It also adds that progress on the Colombo Port City Special Economic Zone and the Hambantota Industrial Zone can be expected to foster more foreign direct investment as the government pursues its reform priorities that include deregulation to simplify governance structures, judicial system improvements, customs efficiency, financial sector regulation, and effective land use. However, the report says that the strength of Sri Lanka's recovery in 2021 to 2022 will depend on the pace of its own vaccination program as well as those in its key export and tourist markets. It also expects manufacturing growth to be fueled by recovery in export markets, pent-up domestic demand and import restrictions, while construction too will benefit from the government's public investment and the resumption of private sector projects. Further, the services sector has been pipped to grow by 4.2% due to a gradual recovery in tourism. Meanwhile, the report forecasts the agricultural sector to grow by 3.7% this year, with the country having succeeded in increasing its total planted land area for rice and other crops than a year earlier. With that, strong agricultural growth and base effects from high food inflation in 2020 are expected to contain inflation at 4.5% in 2021, while rising to 5% in 2022. The report also expects the receipt of the $500 million second tranche of a $1.2 billion financing facility from China Development Bank and a proposed International Monetary Fund special drawing rights allocation to further cushion reserves.
Now, Sri Lankan shares ended lower today, hurt by losses in industrial stocks as the CSE All-Share Price Index fell 0.12% to close at 7,208.2 points to close up 6.4% for the year. In contrast, however, the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks gained 6.93 points to close at 2,869.25. With that, here's Dimantha Matthew with a more detailed report on today's trading.
Today also we saw a bit of volatility in the index similar to yesterday. What is happening is, so we have a bit of a loss in confidence levels with the investors, mainly due to the COVID third wave. We've seen a significant decline at the start of the week and then a major recovery. So with that, what we are now seeing is towards the end of the week there is a bit of stability that is taking place in the market. Now today we saw a mixed reaction in the market with the ASPI dropping by around 8 points, but the S&P SL20 index gained by around 7 points. On the overall aspect, we are seeing less retail activity in the market, so the number of trades have dropped even below 10,000 transactions, so we are experiencing only around 8,000 transactions during the day. Turnover also has dropped to only about $1 billion.
In the currency market, the rupee was quoted at 199.75 cents to the US dollar today, after closing at 199.87 cents yesterday. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. We'll see you soon. Stay with us. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Stay indoors as much as possible and be safe. Bye-bye.